Obviously, the first half swoon there kind of did you in. But what did you learn about them and that game that needs to be the priority in this game?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing we knew then, we know now. Like there wasn't anything, surprising in what happened in the game. They have, some skilled guys. I thought Nick Dorn's probably the difference in the game. His shot-making ability. Obviously, DeVries did not shoot in the second half, but he did a lot of things to help him win. He can play make, he can rebound, just a great awareness, on the court. Wilkerson didn't have a great game against us, but he's just so dangerous. Like he's proven with his ability he can get 30 to 40 points, on a given night. So I thought Reed Bailey played really well in the first half for him. Other guys played a little bit better than he did in the second half, but I thought he really gave him that spark, in the first half. So Conroy didn't play in the game. I thought Enright, I thought his ability to guard and his ability just to do, once again, little things really, really helped them. His energy and his toughness, just his determination to guard the basketball and to play. So, it's same Indiana team. They had a tough game last game. That doesn't really mean anything to come into this game, and we have to do a good job of guarding them. We have to do a good job of executing on the offensive end.
You obviously have a lot of basketball left to play, but in the moment, how do you square with your guys? They came in with obviously very high expectations. You mentioned it at the Michigan game. The Big Ten's probably out the door. How do you square with your guys that by most standards you guys have had a great season, but by the standards that maybe they set for themselves, some things haven't fallen in place? How do you keep them?
Yeah, it's just keep things in perspective. And I've always said, like, you can overthink things and overtalk things, win the next game. Just those things I just talked about Indiana, like that's what's important. Like just, stay in that world. Like we've been number one in the team in the country 4 out of the last 5 years. Like, where does it get you, right? Like, where the hell does it get you? They didn't give us a Big Ten title because we've, won 4 out of the last 5 years. Like, we didn't get the Final Four because of that. We won a Big Ten title because we won more games than anybody else. We got to a Final Four because we won 4 games. And actually, we won 5. But, you kind of get my point. Like, you can get into all that when in reality, keep the ball in front of you, rebound the basketball, execute. When guys execute and they miss shots, it's not even a worry. We don't even worry about it because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. No one's trying to miss a shot. So when we miss those shots at Nebraska, miss those free throws at the end, people get all upset about that. Like, what's there to get upset about? Somebody is trying his best and they came up short. But when you don't do your job sometimes, or you don't communicate on defense, or you don't get good, clean box outs, or you don't pursue the ball better than your opponent, now those are the type of things that you have to do better. And in the 2 games previous to Michigan, we did. And I think their personnel, their overall talent is different, but we still had to do better in that area, especially in that one stretch.
How much did how Purdue did against IU when you were a player play into how successful you felt your stint was, and how much do you think that should be something that a Purdue player is taking into account, what they accomplished in that rivalry?
I think it matters in terms just from a pride standpoint, but what matters is your overall record and your Big Ten record more than anything. And obviously they were very successful when I played. I think it's the rivalries are great for college basketball. And a lot of people, but I think it's more for the fans than it is for anybody else. It matters to players, it matters to coaches, but what matters more is us getting a quality victory, just like them getting, a quality victory. That means more. The games mean more than all the other stuff, like improving your seed, trying to help yourself win a championship, things of that nature. Improvement, like, your improvement, like you say, oh, well, what can you do now? Like, we can get better. That's what the hell we can do. Like, let's have these 5 games, and let's try to get better in each one of these games to give us the best seed that we can get into the Big Ten tournament, and then do the same thing in the Big Ten tournament for the ultimate test of playing in the NCAA tournament.
When you look at Trey's development, you've talked about the benefits of redshirting him before, but when Zach gets drafted, that allows him to become a 5 and be a go-to scorer. Now, because he has a 5th year, he's evolved into a rebounder. How are you seeing the benefits of kind of circumstances the last couple of years that have made him possibly a better pro moving forward?
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that you miss in that is, now you got to guard a lot of different people. Like, you got to be versatile as a professional basketball player on the offensive end and the defensive end. And I think that's what it's done for him. He's been put in a lot of different situations where, he's a hedge guy, he's a switch guy, he's a drop guy. Like, how we handle our post defense is different depending on their personnel and the other players on the team, and not just the big guys posting up. So Trey's been great. The one thing is that, like, real players show up the next day, win or lose, and watch film, try to get better, work on their game, put in time, and that's what all three of those guys have done. Like, you can, you're going to have some shortcomings, you're going to have some disappointments there, but, like, how do you pick up the pieces, and who doesn't get ahead of themselves when they have success? That's probably the hardest part. Like, when you have success, especially like a string of 4 to 5 games, like, now it's very natural to be full of yourself. Like you can't get ahead of it. You got to be detailed. You got to be tough. You got to be able to do that. And those guys have hung in there. Those guys have been able to do it. They've been able to handle disappointment and handle success and keep going.
Staying with,
Matt, Omer had a good stretch in the first half. Jakari did some really good things. Your bench all year have had, real bright spots. How do you help, or how do you make that momentum and not frustration because of all the talent? Sometimes they won't get into the second half.
Yeah,
And
that was difficult. What Elliot Cadeau getting in the lane, it wasn't like, and it affects him because he played well, but I got CJ back in there to guard him. That was just that. And at the end, when you look at it, he deserved to play more in the second half. And that's what I always tell those guys. This is like, there's going to be times like you play 14 minutes, you should have got 18. Like, you should, like, whatever it might be. And, but yeah, in hindsight, he should have played a little bit more in that second half. But that was my reasoning at that time. Elliot Cadeau just kept getting in the paint, and we were hedging high to stop it, and he still was. And so whether that decision was right or not by me, that was my thinking.
just going back to Trey real quick, what has it been like to coach him for 5 years? He comes in as a super thoughtful, super intelligent kid. Not that he's not leaving as a super thoughtful, super intelligent kid, but along the way he's become this really physical, really competitive, sometimes over-emotional guy. How have you kind of handled him all these years?
Oh, he's easy. He's easy. Anybody can coach him. He just wants to get better. He's going to put in time. When he's not here and he leaves after spring, semester, he's going to come back a better player. He's going to put things in. He just has to know what's going on. As long as he knows what's going on, that allows him to process. And if he knows what he's doing, he's a better player. When he doesn't quite know, he's going to be a step behind. When he has to process during the game, when he knows now, he just plays off his instincts and plays, and he's really good. But that's kind of, it just took time to get there, right? And then, and I always say this about those guys, Zachary obviously really, really helped us, but he slowed down some development because those other guys didn't get to play as much as they needed to. That's just a fact. But you always make those decisions best for Purdue, right? Like, that's just the way it is. But somebody gets that. Somebody gets the short end of that, and that's not fair at times, but it also can make you a better player because you appreciate playing. It's like getting an injury. Like, now, like, wow, I wish I could be out there, but I'm out for 3 weeks. You didn't appreciate it that way 4 weeks ago. And it's just a natural, normal behavior.
Speaking of things you appreciate, having two guys in your backcourt who have started 100, I think it's going to be 139 straight games, which is the most in program history. Just kind of the accountability that they've had, but also the availability that they've had. As a head coach, I don't think you can process. These guys are going to start every game for 4 years in their careers together, and then they just have. How does that give this program sustainability where things happen, like you lose a couple games in a row, but they've been through all the wars and they've played together for so long?
Yeah, they've earned it. They earned it when they came in and they competed and they played. But it's a good story for recruiting because a lot of times people can't handle not playing. And it's really hard. It's really hard. But they were needed here. So they wanted to come here, but they also were needed. So it was kind of a perfect marriage at the perfect time. And sometimes you have that in recruiting. It's like the best school, the best coach, the best system, the best style, the best conference, not the best time. And that normally will get somebody to transfer because all those things made sense for them. Then they get here and it's like, hey, man, you're going to have to wait a year. You're going to have to wait 2 years. And a lot of people in college are not going to do that. Well, these guys didn't have to do that. But to their defense, they earned that. They came in here, they had guys with more experience that were here, that were in front of them, and they beat those guys out. And so, like, when the chips are down, those guys have come up big for us. Nobody bats 100% in competitive basketball, like nobody. And so, like, sometimes when you have struggles or your team doesn't win or you get picked to win your league and you don't, like, now you learn to, we've won the league before and then, had a bad showing in the NCAA tournament. People look at it like a failure. So now when it gets flipped, like, you obviously want to win the league and win the NCAA, right? But it doesn't always work that way. It rarely works that way. But, like, now when that, happens now, okay, we'll show your experience, show your maturity, and say, like, hey, let's get better in these 5 games and give ourselves the best chance possible to finish their career on a really high note.
In some of these games, you come up short. It seems like the long rebounds have given you trouble.
Yes.
Is there a commonality you're seeing in that? Is there a situation in terms of defensive rotations that get you out of position
Right.
on blockouts? Or what just kind of are you noticing?
Yeah,
on those
each,
long boards?
you're going to, like, how people play, you're going to be in some different situations, but it's going to be way more similar. If this always happened to us, you'd have an issue. But why can you be quicker to the ball in other games than your opponent? And then in some games, sometimes you can look at it like size, sometimes you can look at it at speed, I look at it more of just the will to want the basketball. Like, go get it. Like, wherever you are, go get it. And you give your best effort and you don't, then we can live with it. You're going to watch film and say, hey, man, that dude did everything to get that. He just, you're behind. Like, he was in a better position just organically but it's, whether it's a free throw box out or it's a regular box out, and like I talk about it before the game, there's 3 different things that can happen. You can have short shots around the rim where you got to really, like, be physical, and there's going to be long shots where I'm not guarding the basketball, where I got to go back. Because if you just look at long shots, where are they going to bounce? Long shots normally go long. Doesn't mean that you don't have some short misses, because you do. But percentage-wise, it's no different than shooting on the left wing, and the percentages say it's going towards that right elbow or the right wing. It's going to go in those areas. So picking up the flight of the ball and being able to get to it, especially from a guard standpoint, because they're out. People run such good stuff that you have inverted matchups sometimes, and that's difficult. People will switch, people won't switch, people will have their bigs out with the bigs there, and that just creates another, like, a layer. That in the Illinois game, that happened because we were trying to stop their pick and pops. We were trying to eliminate that piece of it, but then you have matchups. Watch the NBA. It happens all the time because they switch all that stuff. They stop that action, but then they have mismatched box outs. And so, okay, you stop the action, but you got an issue here. And like people will comment on that like we don't understand that. Like, you're picking your poison. So now it's like I always say the game starts when the shot goes up. Like, how can you play when shots go up? Now you got to be able to track those rebounds and be able to do it. So when you have that showing at Nebraska, and they're a physical team and a good team, right? And then you've had a couple games where it hasn't against 2 elite teams. Like, now you're like, well, why can't you do that? That's a hell of an environment. You're on the road. They're tough. They're big. Like, why can you do that? Because you can. Like, that's the whole thing. If we couldn't, like last year at times, I'm not going to come in here and say, hey, we can't do this. But against elite people, that's really hard against Houston. That's damn hard with our. But we also prove we can hang in that game. Like, we can offset that. We can be better in other areas. And I thought we were, to give ourselves a chance to win. So you can offset it, but it is hard. It is hard. And so all that stuff comes into play. Like, we sit down and look at it and say, okay, if we're going to switch this, like, now we're going to stop their action. We have a better chance of stopping their action. But now when this shot goes up, can we rebound this? Then we say, okay, they're going to have better shot quality here, but we're going to keep a big on a big and a guard on a guard. Now more shots are going to go in there. And so, like, it's kind of delicate. You look for some answers to help yourself. But at the end of the day, for me, it's no matter what the situation is, be physical on your box outs, be a jumper, be quick to the basketball, be around the basketball. I always say, don't assume somebody else is going to get it. Always assume you're the only person out there and you got to get it. If you get 5 people that way, it's going to help. Thank you.